bail hearing for Sean Diddy Combs, held on November 22, 2024, was postponed after several concerns emerged during the proceedings. Combs' lawyers presented a proposed bail package that included home detention, a $50 million bond backed by his mansion, and strict monitoring. However, the prosecution raised significant concerns. They highlighted that Combs had previously been involved in witness tampering while in jail, even after previous denials of bail. For example, it was reported that he had contacted witnesses through third parties from jail. Additionally, there were concerns about the evidence discovered at Combs' residences, including firearms, which further complicated the defense's argument. As a result, the judge has yet to decide on bail, and the next hearing will address these issues further. Sean Diddy Combs' next hearing is set for December 4th, 2024. This hearing will continue discussions around his bail request as he faces charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, and other related offenses. The court will address concerns raised about his potential risk to witnesses and evidence, as well as the terms of his proposed release package. In the recent bail hearing for Sean Diddy Combs, U.S. District Judge Arun Subramanian ordered a review of an envelope containing materials that Combs' legal team argued were protected by attorney-client privilege. These materials were notes written by Combs in jail, which his attorneys claim were related to confidential trial strategy discussions. The prosecution had seized these notes during a jail search, which raised concerns about a potential breach of privilege. The judge directed that the envelope be examined to determine whether the materials should be treated as privileged. The judge wanted to examine the envelope marked attorney-client privilege because there was a discrepancy regarding when the label was applied. Video footage from the jail search showed that the label wasn't visible before the search, but it appeared afterward. This raised questions about whether the label was added after the search, which could affect whether the contents are protected under attorney-client privilege. The judge ordered a closer look to determine if the label was placed before or after the search. The judge's closer examination of the envelope marked attorney-client privilege stems from concerns that the label was not on the envelope prior to the jail search, despite the label appearing afterward. This raised doubts about the timing of its application. If the label was added after the search, it could suggest that the materials were not genuinely privileged, which is a serious issue for Combs' defense. The judge ordered an investigation into whether the label was placed on the envelope before or after the search, based on video footage and the prosecution's claims. The outcome of this review will determine how the contents are handled in court.
Attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs have admitted in a November 20 filing that the Bad Boy founder did, indeed, break the jail phone rules in place at the Metropolitan Detainment Center (MDC) in Brooklyn. The admission comes days after prosecutors claimed Diddy was attempting to obstruct justice from behind bars by calling family members in an attempt to contact witnesses and influence public opinion on his case. In documents obtained by All Hip Hop, one of Diddy's lawyers, Alexandra Shapiro, admitted that Combs used other inmates' phone access cards (PACs) to make calls, a violation of the rules laid out by the U.S. Department of Justice Federal Bureau of Prisons (BOP). An inmate may not possess another inmate's telephone access code number. An inmate may not give his or her telephone access code number to another inmate and is to report a compromised telephone access code number immediately to unit staff, states the policy. According to Shapiro, however, the practice is common within MDC. The use of other inmates' PAC numbers is also a widespread practice at the MDC and not obstruction, Shapiro wrote in the filing to Judge Arun Subramanian. Inmates routinely share their calling minutes with other inmates, and they are limited to 15 minutes per call and 1 call per hour. The government has presented no evidence suggesting anything Mr. Combs says using other numbers is any different from what he says while using his individual PAC number. The attorney continued to argue that, if anything, that Mr. Combs needs to resort to sharing minutes demonstrates that the conditions at MDC do not permit an adequate defense preparation. Although this is technically not permitted by BOP policy, the BOP effectively sanctions the practice, and all calls are monitored. Earlier this week, Diddy's reps also accused the prosecution of manipulating the now infamous 2016 hotel footage of the Bad Boy founder assaulting ex-girlfriend, Cassie. In a win for the team, Judge Subramanian has also ordered that notes found during a recent raid on Diddy's cell be destroyed, as prosecutors confiscated a total of 19 missives from his cell, NBC News reports. Combs was arrested in September on charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution.
Diddy's jail cell was searched and prosecutors claim they found evidence suggesting Diddy was attempting to influence witnesses. Diddy's lawyers claim this violates his Fourth Amendment right. However, inmates don't have a Fourth Amendment expectation of privacy in prison, so that argument is weak. Guards can search a cell without probable cause or a warrant. Privileged material is different. The feds usually use a taint or a dirty team of agents that aren't working on the case to conduct these searches. That way, if they see privileged materials, the clean team won't be disqualified from the case. Prosecutors have reason to believe Diddy is obstructing justice from prison by contacting witnesses through intermediaries. This is the same argument they made during his bail hearing, and I think they have the evidence to back it up. Witness tampering also falls under the crime fraud exception to the attorney-client privilege. Diddy's only real chance of an acquittal is to pay off, threaten, or blackmail the victims to change their stories, and prosecutors want to make sure that doesn't happen.
Diddy's lawyers framed his paying for and using other inmates' packs as no big deal. The use of other inmates' pack numbers is also a widespread practice at the MDC and not obstruction, Diddy's lawyer, Alexandra A.E. Shapiro, wrote in a filing to Judge Arun Subramanian. Inmates routinely share their calling minutes. In a filing on Thursday, November 21st, the day before a high-stakes hearing to determine whether or not Diddy will make bond and be freed from the MDC prison in Brooklyn, his lawyers flat-out admitted he was using other inmates' information to make calls. Diddy's lawyers framed his paying for and using other inmates' packs as no big deal. Inmates routinely share their calling minutes with other inmates, and they are limited to 15 minutes per call and 1 call per hour. The government has presented no evidence suggesting anything Mr. Combs says using other numbers is any different from what he says while using his individual pack number, Shapiro added. Shapiro went a step further and blamed the dire conditions at MDC as an excuse for Diddy to use other inmates' packs to make calls to the outside world. If anything, that Mr. Combs needs to resort to sharing minutes demonstrates that the conditions at MDC do not permit an adequate defense preparation. Although this is technically not permitted by BOP policy, the BOP effectively sanctions the practice, and all calls are monitored, Shapiro reasoned. According to the BOP's official procedures, inmates must provide administrators with a list of contacts, which must be approved, and the person on the list must be agreeable to receiving the inmate's telephone call. As for sharing, the BOP's rules are pretty straightforward, which may cause a problem for Diddy during his upcoming court hearing. An inmate may not possess another inmate's telephone access code number. An inmate may not give his or her telephone access code number to another inmate and is to report a compromised telephone access code number immediately to unit staff, according to rules laid out by the U.S. Department of Justice Federal Bureau of Prisons. Diddy is awaiting trial after being charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Diddy makes third bail attempt after prosecutors allege he blackmailed victims from behind bars. Attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs have admitted in a November 21st filing that the Bad Boy founder did, indeed, break the jail phone rules in place at the Metropolitan Detainment Center (MDC) in Brooklyn. Diddy's attorneys claim prosecution edited 2016 hotel surveillance video. Diddy's lawyers claim prosecutors used altered video of alleged 2016 assault in effort to keep him jailed. Diddy claims prosecutors altered Cassie assault video to influence judge's bail decision. NBC News reported federal prosecutors confiscated 19 messages from the disgraced mogul's cell, which allegedly reveal that Combs has been attempting to influence public opinion from behind bars. Mark Agnifilo, Combs' defense attorney, questioned how the papers were found and demanded surveillance footage showing the search. Judge Subramanian ruled that the court would keep the main evidence under lock and key, and federal prosecutors will need to destroy any copies made of Diddy's documents immediately due to the nature of how the evidence was obtained. Prosecutors have claimed the Bad Boy Records founder has tried to tamper with witnesses from behind bars, citing jail calls he made using the prison access codes of other inmates and conversations with different individuals, including his sons. Combs' attorneys have proposed a $50 million bail package with strict release conditions. His trial is currently scheduled for May 2025.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content, and leave a comment below. See you next time.